All right, here we go. Episode one, The Frozen Edge with Timo Seppa. I'm Casey Ditzel. Today is Tuesday, May 6th, the second day of round two in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And over the next few months, Timo and I are going to be posting daily short form episodes looking through the NHL playoff betting market. I'll be throwing a lot of information out, my thoughts and betting picks. Timo's going to tell you probably why I'm wrong with the data analysis skills he's got. Hopefully, with my knowledge of hockey, his, as well as the data behind it, we'll be able to scan the hockey markets, help everybody here win a little bit of money as the chase for sports greatest trophy counts down. Timo spent the last 8 years in the NHL, most recently as a senior manager of hockey analytics. With that, I'll welcome him on. Timo, how's it going? Thanks for joining me here.
Hey Casey, I'm really excited to be doing these daily podcasts with you. Yeah, hopefully my overall experience in hockey analytics will help us get some good insights here. And as you said, especially the last 8 seasons at NHL headquarters in New York.
Give us a quick background. Obviously, working in the NHL is a pretty good start for your resume to be a credible source here. But what makes you most excited about looking at this betting landscape?
I've always looked at sports analytically ever since I was a kid. Before I knew how to look at stats and analytics, and so it's exciting. I've been doing hockey analytics since 2009. Originally with Hockey Prospectus, where I was editor in chief for a number of years, including editor of their 6 books on hockey analytics from 2009 to 2016. So done a bunch of things, worked with a bunch of teams as well, but looking to put those insights to work.
My name's Casey Ditzel. I was most recently the play-by-play broadcaster at Clarkson University. Just finished up grad school and my MBA. Both Timo and I have Clarkson University educations. One of us has the expected math skills that come affiliated with that accomplishment. And
Is that you?
fortunately, I was at least pretty good at talking, so that got me through school. But Timo, let's dive right into it here, and we'll
Yes.
start last night. It was game one of the second round, Florida and Toronto. Probably one of the most anticipated matchups here of this second round. Toronto comes away with a 5-4 win and some non-characteristic Florida Panthers hockey. 3 soft goals in the first by Bobrovsky. You were kind of texting me back and forth on whether or not they should pull him out there early in that game. He made some big time saves though throughout the second and third periods to keep them in it. Unfortunately, they come up short. But probably the big storyline is Anthony Stolarz injured during the game. Joseph Woll had to come in replace it and kind of opening the door for that little comeback and near comeback that we saw the Panthers. Frank Saravalli retweeted a report that Stolarz left the building on a stretcher and was hospitalized last night. So obviously, we're hoping that he's all right for his health's sake, but potentially a spot to open the door. Florida comes back a little bit, come up just short with the Matthew Knies game-winning goal. And again, it's a little bit uncharacteristic. A missed change on the defensive end, and for about 5 seconds, Florida had just 4 guys on the ice playing shorthanded. The last D jumps over to make it 5-on-5, kind of right as Knies got in and sprung the breakaway there. So thinking about that, what were some of the things that most stood out to you from game one as we look back to last night?
Yeah, you talk about those soft goals. I mean, they were shots from outside the high danger area, or then there's one on a rebound where Bob muffed the shot from outside the high danger area to begin with. He's a goalie that his history is hot and cold. So when he's hot, you might win the Stanley Cup, but he's got plenty of cold mixed in there as well. So maybe you were right, and maybe the coach was right in keeping him in and waiting for him to heat up, or knowing that he's your best option overall. But yeah, big difference, big swing, obviously, depending on who is going to be in goal for Toronto going forward.
With Toronto's win, looking at the series props now, Toronto at minus 132 the favorite to come away. Florida plus 102. If you're betting the spreads, Toronto to win in 6 games or less at minus 1.5 games is plus 158. Florida minus 1.5 games plus 230. We're going to get into that series more tomorrow with game 2 upcoming, as well as Winnipeg and Dallas. But we start our show with the Tuesday slate. Washington and Carolina, the 7 o'clock game. Edmonton and Vegas at 9:30 tonight. So we'll start with the early game, finish with the later game here on our shorter form episodes. Again, we're going to be releasing daily, so drop a follow, a like, and come by. Hopefully catch some picks every day as we run through the Stanley Cup playoffs upcoming. On this Washington-Carolina series, a very anticipated rivalry matchup. We saw it get pretty heated in the regular season. The regular season series was basically a split, technically 2-1-1 in favor of the Carolina Hurricanes, with the final game going to a shootout victory for Washington. But it's always been pretty competitive. The last playoff meeting was round 20. It was the 2019 round 1. It took 7 games there. And looking at these matchups, it's been dominated by the home teams going back over the past 5-6 years since that playoff matchup. Timo, what are some of the stats that stand out to you here as we get ready to set the matchup here between Washington and Carolina?
Carolina for a long time. We're probably going on just about a decade, certainly in the time since Eric Tulsky joined the team. Analytics guy joined as a analytics guy, moved his way up to AGM and then GM. They've been known as a team that outshoots, outpossesses you at even strength at 5-on-5. And true to form in the season series between Washington and Carolina, Carolina was led the series at 34 shots to 23 shots on average for the game. So outshooting Washington by a bunch. But again, does that make a difference overall? It's not just a game at 5-on-5, and it's obviously not just shooting at 5-on-5. You got to score at 5-on-5. So, Washington known for their power play with Alex Ovechkin, but in the season series, inconclusive results between the two teams as far as special teams. So, Carolina went 3 for 14 on the power play, so 21%, and Washington went 4 for 13, 32% on the power play. So, small sample sizes there, but special teams 5-on-5. What's going to make the difference? We'll see.
In the 2 recent matches, a couple of April games, a split as well. The Canes with a 5-1 win on April 2nd. That one came down to 144 penalty minutes in the third period. Tom Wilson was removed early in the third period, but had 6 hits in that game. Washington winning the rematch in the 5-4 shootout victory for the Capitals April 10th. Wilson in that game had 5 hits and a goal. So Tom Wilson certainly setting up to be a major factor in this series. On the Carolina side, it's the health of Freddie Anderson that's probably the number one question mark. He just signed a 1-year extension this past week, so that sets up for positives. It's expected to be Anderson versus Logan Thompson, 2 of the top goaltenders in the NHL. Statistically, Anderson a bit smaller sample size, but Anderson and Thompson both ranked 1 and 2 in mid-range save percentage. That would favor the side of the under. As we look at the series props here, Washington is heavily undervalued, which to me is a pretty big surprise with the dominance we saw in round 1. Carolina maybe slightly inflated. I would say matchup-wise, Carolina probably comes in with the better lineup, but if Washington can use that physicality, certainly could tend towards their advantage. They are plus 146 are the Capitals to win the series, minus 176 for Carolina. So you're almost getting 1.5 times your value if you're betting on the Capitals. They're looking at the spread, picking Washington minus 1.5 is plus 290, so 2.9 times your bet. Carolina minus 1.5 at plus 116. That would be for either of those teams to win in 6 games or less. And looking at picking the exact game options to have the series finish in 5 games plus 260, 6 games at plus 295, and 7 at plus 175. Timo, are any of those stats standing out to you there?
Yeah, I heard you say 295 for 6 games. It's plus 195 for 6 games.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I would say like overall, I would. One of the things I want to point out to anybody that's um, picking series in numbers of games, just looking at this overall stats for the second round since the current playoff format was put into place. That's in 2013-14. Um, Series ending in 4 games this round, 9%. Series ending in 5 games, 18%. Series ending in 6 games, 34%. Series ending in 7 games, 39%. So the point there is that it's twice as likely for series to end in 6 games than in 5 games. So unless you are very bullish on Carolina or Washington to finish up in 5 games, the numbers overall tell you that most series are going to go 6 or 7 games. So if you're going to pick the 5 games, make sure you feel really sure about it.
Looking at tonight, game one of the series, Washington, right about even odds, plus 104 on FanDuel, minus 260 on the spread at plus 1.5. Carolina, minus 125 to win the game. It is plus 205 for them at minus 1.5 goals, and the over under set at 5.5. Timo mentioned the goaltending statistics, and looking at the way these two teams played the first round, you would expect each of these games to average around 6 goals scored. So, as you look at the start tonight, the series overall, what are a couple of the predictions you have going forward?
I think you're right. Certainly that the season series would point towards a lower scoring game. I don't have anything specific for you. I'll give you the top goal scorers for point scorers for Washington were Ovechkin and Strome. Both of them only with 3 points in the season series. Ovechkin did that in 3 games. Strome in 4 games. Seth Jarvis was the top point scorer for Carolina with 3 goals and 2 assists, 5 points. So if you're looking for players to be scoring in the game for props like that, those are some of the names you'd look at: Ovechkin, Strome, and Jarvis.
Alex Ovechkin plus 135 for a goal tonight. Seth Jarvis minus 170 to pick up a point. A couple of those. I'm going to take Washington at plus 104 in the game one opener to win at home. And I also like the under at 5.5 goals. Let's move on to the late game. Edmonton and Vegas. Edmonton has been missing Matthias Ekholm. So the question on the Oilers side turns to whether or not the offense can hold the weight of the Edmonton Oilers, relying on those star guys, Draisaitl and McDavid, obviously such a huge piece in the success they've had over the last 2 postseasons. Goaltending has also been a question mark with struggles of Stuart Skinner. He got benched after 2 games. Cal Pickard was able to get 4 straight wins. Edmonton moves on. For Vegas, Jack Eichel, a bit of a slow start, got going later on in the first round. What impact do you see each of those storylines having here as we look forward to the first game of this series?
Hard to tell. I mean, like certainly the goaltending for Edmonton I would say many people online, analytics community, whoever, certainly were puzzled by Edmonton sticking with Stuart Skinner at points over the last couple of years. Clearly, they made the right choice. At least seemingly, it's easy to say that when you have success. Right choice to go with Pickard in the last series. So I don't know. I think the goaltending choice is I'm sure will be Pickard for now. Let's see how that plays out over the series.
Series is priced at a pick 'em. Vegas built to be the better team, probably with depth wise, but obviously McDavid and Draisaitl carry a little bit of weight on their back. Both of these teams are minus 110 to win the series. Edmonton's minus 1.5 at plus 180. Vegas at minus 1.5 games, plus 196. An interesting one if you're looking at either of these teams on the opposite side of the spread. Edmonton plus 1.5, which would be to either make it to 7 games or lose the series, is minus 260. The Vegas 1.5 at minus 235. If you're thinking this series might go to 7 games rather than taking the heavy negative odds, betting the series exact at 7 games for this one at plus 165. Timo, when you look at this series, obviously it's pretty even matched. Which team do you give the edge?
It is so. I mean, like over the last couple of seasons, for me, it's so hard to figure Edmonton. Yeah, I mean, you could figure that they're going to beat LA in the first round of the playoffs, but I certainly was surprised when they made the run to the Cup final. It is intriguing. I'd be curious to ask you who do you like in this series? I mean, it's hard to see this going any less than 6 games. The seven putting some money down on 7 games for the series seems intriguing, but I could also see going 6.
I think I agree. I see 7 games. You also do have the option to bet 6+ games, which I think is just about a guarantee there. I in my bracket going into this, I picked Edmonton to win the cup here. I think Vegas
Wow.
is the biggest threat that stands in front of them, and obviously Dallas is looming there. The West is kind of in my mind uh, anybody's game. I think the West is so strong. I think Edmonton has the offensive ability, and I think we're going to see a lot of high scoring games in this series. It's whether or not they can get enough of that goaltending, and if the defense without Ekholm can stand in there for me. I think for that reason, Vegas tonight is a pretty good pick. Minus 138 on home ice, plus 172 to win by 2 goals. And I do like that plus 172. If this game goes to an over, you get an empty netter. I think we're going to see a lot of tight scoring games. But Vegas is so strong on home ice. I do like Jack Eichel to get going with a point. And another interesting one is William Karlsson, who was moved up during the round one series to play on the top line in between Stone and Eichel. Looking at Karlsson to pick up a point could be an opportunity to add within, in between those two, where Stone is minus 180 if you're looking at points. Jack Eichel is minus 280. Karlsson sits at plus 112. So if you think Stone and Eichel might be off to a quick start, maybe putting some on Karlsson could be the way to go if you're trying to boost your odds. The over/under set at 6.5 goals, which is a tough one to look. This is the only series that wasn't put at 5.5. So that's something I'm going to stay away from. But as you look towards game one, Timo, where do you see tonight's game going? You said for the series, leaning towards Vegas. Are you with me on the side that you think Vegas gets off to a hot start here at home?
Yeah, it's hard to say for me. I was just going to comment on what you're saying before. The season series for these two teams was stood out to me in the fact that it was very low penalty minutes, very low power play opportunities, and that led to only 21 goals being scored over the 4 games in the season series. Now, is that going to still stay that way, that you're going to have that low power play opportunities? Certainly, that's something to be thinking about if you're betting the over-under, is that the season series actually was quite low scoring. And if you're looking at individual goal scorers, I thought it was really interesting that McDavid, he played 3 out of the 4 games in this series, 0 goals, 1 assist. So what do you have there for? Do you have the odds for McDavid for a goal or a point? I'd be interested in what they have for that.
They got him at minus 480 to pick up a point. He would be the second favorite. Leon at plus 125
Right.
is the favorite. Connor McDavid plus 170 for a goal. So certainly you'd probably be looking to at goal or assist rather than betting point on Connor McDavid. But that's definitely something to note with if it ends up being a clean checking series, low power play, that favors heavily towards the Vegas side.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for our walkthrough on episode 1 here. We'll be back tomorrow. Dallas and Winnipeg, game 1 and game 2 for Florida and Toronto. Timo, you made it through episode 1. We don't hate each other yet here. What do you got going on the rest of the day?
Oh, I don't know. The usual, just a quiet day at home here.
We'll be posting on Spotify and YouTube. I'll be throwing the highlights around on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So appreciate everybody that stuck through it. Hopefully we can find you some winners. Again, a recap of our favorite picks for the day. It was Washington on the money line with the under in the Washington-Carolina game. Some player props to look at, potentially an Ovechkin goal or a Seth Jarvis point on the Vegas side.
Yep.
Vegas to win game 1 as well as the series, and William Karlsson to pick up a point. For Timo Seppa, I'm Casey Ditzel. This has been episode 1 of The Frozen Edge. We'll be back tomorrow with some more picks and parlays. Thanks for tuning in.